What's up, everybody? Good Monday evening, and welcome to Straight from the Dome. This is the Purdue review episode. I'm Augie, as always, joined by Mr. Bray Beatles. How are we doing, sir?
I'm doing well. How was your weekend?
It's pretty good. Had work, but enjoyed the weekend nonetheless. And Irish win always makes it an even better weekend.
Absolutely.
So I know you went to the game. You were in Indy. How was that?
It was good. Shamrock Series is a cool experience to be a part of. They kind of, the Indianapolis was a great city for it to be in because it's so centrally located. Everything you can walk to everywhere. You never have to worry about, if it was in Chicago like it had been, your hotel could have been an hour from the stadium. And you were still technically downtown. So it was nice. It was a central location. Um, we could walk anywhere we wanted to. Bar scenes were great. Street parties were great. The fan experience that Notre Dame put on themselves was mediocre at best. I kind of expected a little better. Um, but I mean, the game was cool. It was a cool experience to be at, and it was something I definitely would recommend if you ever have a chance to go to a Shamrock Series game. I definitely would recommend it. The experience inside the stadium, it could have been better. There were some empty seats, which was kind of surprising to me. I know that the game was sold out. I think I read something that a company down in Indy actually had bought all the remaining tickets, and was selling them for like $50 or whatever, just even the more expensive ones, just to try and get
Hmm.
people in there, I guess, or to make sure it was a
Mhm.
sellout. I'm not really sure the story behind it. I just read that a company had done it. There were probably, I think I read there were 59,000 people at the game. Um, a little under, the capacity. The only places that were empty were the upper deck, the 600 level. I would say it was probably 85 to 90% full. Crowd really wasn't that into it. I mean, I think that has a lot to do with it being Purdue. It's kind of
Mhm.
hard. Even me sitting there, I'm a pretty vocal guy, and um, I really kind of try to get into the games and whatnot. It was hard for me to, mostly because I think it was Purdue. It was hard to get really hyped up because I think most everybody thought this is just Purdue. We're gonna win 63-3, and obviously that wasn't the case. But I think that had a lot to do with the fans and why it wasn't as loud. The roof was open as well, which had a lot to do with it, I would imagine. All in all, we weren't the fan base wasn't loud. They didn't do a great job of using the much better sound system that they have there. Instead of at Notre Dame Stadium or comparable to Notre Dame Stadium. They used the video boards. Watching the video boards, it was nice. It made me really kind of have the itch to have some jumbotrons at Notre Dame Stadium. It was nice watching replays and whatnot. But it was a good experience. I'm not gonna knock the experience. I had a great time. We went in Friday night, left Sunday morning, got to meet a lot of people. It was nice. It was a great time. Like I said, the actual the vibe in Indy was great. We, as in Notre Dame, literally took over a whole city, and it was great to see the following that Notre Dame has. And I would definitely recommend it to anybody who ever has an opportunity to go to a Shamrock Series game.
Yeah, I mean, just watching on TV, like you said, it didn't seem like the crowd was as much into it as a regular game. Like you said, Purdue, and it's probably has to do something with the stadium. But all in all, I've never been to a Shamrock Series, but it sounds like they're a good experience. This would have been my best opportunity, but work comes first, I guess. So.
Also, the stadium is awesome. It's a spectacle to say the least. It's if you ever have a chance to go in that place, you should. It's pretty amazing. How it's massive looking from the outside. Inside, it's huge. The whole concept of the open roof and whatnot is a pretty cool thing to kind of witness firsthand because you read about it or see it on TV, but actually being there and seeing how massive and what it takes to do something like that as far as a stadium. So I think that might have a lot to do with crowd noise too, is actually how big of an area was inside. It was harder to, I don't know, maybe get that loud, but you would think with the roof being, it's like three quarters open, really. or three-quarters closed with
Right.
just the top over the field open. So you would think that would help you with crowd noise, but it was such a massive area. And yeah, go see that place if you can. If you can get a tour, it's pretty awesome.
I have been in the stadium, but I'm sure it's a lot different when it's actual football game going on. But Will, with the
How'd your Cardinals do this weekend?
Ball State lost to Indiana State, which is an FCS school. We the trap game got us
Oh
after
God,
the Iowa. It was a hangover from Iowa, so
a hangover
they're
from the
gonna
loss.
they're gonna bounce back. They got Toledo this week, I believe. So they're going to Toledo. So get a win in the MAC. Still win the MAC championship. So all in all, looking good for the Cardinals, but not really. But anyhow, well, Notre Dame, Purdue comes in Indy. They meet together. Notre Dame comes out ahead. Seemed like a little slow start for the Irish in the first half. The first drive, though, we did go down, march down the field, score, pass to Will Fuller.
2 minute
Um,
and 30-second drive.
yep, it was quick. We were moving the ball, but after that, it seemed we let down. After that, a little bit. So we'll go through offense here and review what we thought, what we saw. We'll start with Everett, 25 for 40, 259 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 14 rushes for 56 yards, and a rushing touch. And once again did not throw any interceptions. What did you see out of Everett this week?
You know, he looked good. He looked like Everett has all year. Not turn the ball over. He was consistent. Um, I was hoping for a little better performance because a lot of people were had the whole Heisman race in their head before, and like we talked last week when we had Kevin on, I kind of thought and I said he needs to use this game like any other Heisman candidate would and have, 5, 6 touchdowns, have 400 plus yards. That's what makes you a Heisman candidate. And I said going in, if he has a 2 touchdown game and only throws for 250 yards, that can only hurt his Heisman hopes because you have guys putting up better numbers and past Heisman winners have put up way better numbers than ever has to this point. I'm pulling for him and I really want him to be in that race, but this game to me just it has to take away any momentum he kind of has. I mean, he's still considered because he doesn't have any turnovers and he's running the ball fairly well, but he's really not putting up fantastic rushing numbers along with his passing. Um, I like I said, I want him in the conversation. It's great for a Notre Dame player to be in that conversation. The relevance of that just helps our program in ways that people wouldn't even imagine. But he had only had a 78.8 QBR against Purdue. That's 2 touchdowns, 259 yards. Just an average day, and I was really hoping to see a little bit more out of him, to be honest.
Right, and I take a different view. I'll take the Everett we saw in the last 3 games every game, no matter who the opponent is. A nice, consistent, not turn the ball over, really being the leader and the manager of that game. Yeah, it was Purdue, and he probably should have done a little more, but I'm not going to sit here and knock him for that. I mean, any day that you pass for almost 300 yards is a good day in my eyes. So the Heisman race, I'm not big into it, kind of like you. It would be great to see him in it, but I'm not going to stress and worry and hope he's in it. I'd rather see him just nice, consistent, every game, uh, do what he's been doing, kind of thing.
And hey, I don't want to seem like I'm coming across the wrong way to you or anybody that, I would take it that Everett's play, no, like hands down so far this year.
Mm-hmm.
My point in that conversation, I guess, was a lot of people had him in the Heisman running, and a lot of Notre Dame fans are being homers with it, and we just have to be realistic with it. And we both agree we want him in the running, and I agree 100% with you. I'll take those 3 games he's played so far. Um, if that's what he puts up all year and he's consistent, doesn't turn the ball over, he's not losing any games for us or putting us in bad positions. So just to reiterate and to make people will understand that I'm not hating on him or think he's playing bad. I just, maybe the Heisman talk is a little, far-fetched.
And you got to remember, it's what, week 3, or was week 3? We're going on week 4. We've played 3 games, so you can't. I mean, we played 3 games, and they haven't been the top tier of. It has been the greatest teams on our schedule. So I'm not going to get too excited, and unless he has the game of his life against Stanford or Florida State, then I might start, talking about it. But till then, I'm going to let it be.
Yeah, if he throws for 400 yards against Florida State and 4 touchdowns and does the same against Stanford and Arizona State and USC, he should be in that conversation, no doubt. But to this point, with the level of competition that he's played, I mean, come on, let's be real. It's nothing, like we said last week and the week before, 5 touchdowns against Rice puts him in that, starts that conversation. But this week is a game that he needed to have a 6 touchdown or 5 touchdown performance with over 400 yards to keep him there. And, a 2 touchdown performance and not even 300 yards against an irrelevant team that went 1-11 last year just doesn't put him in that category to me.
Sure. So another good day for Everett. Now we move into something that I know I wasn't impressed with, and you kind of said you weren't either, and that is our rushing game. Total, we had 139 rushing. That was between 4 people, one of them being Everett. You had Cam McDaniel, 9 carries for 32 yards. Greg Bryant, 6 carries for 29 yards. And Folston, 9 carries for 22 yards. It's I don't know if it's a 3-back system. I don't know what it is, but it doesn't seem like we can get in a rhythm at our running game. If you want to elaborate on that or talk about that.
I think you bring a great point in the rhythm, but I think the first thing we kind of have to look at is our offensive line really isn't putting us in great positions to, be successful in the running game. We're really not getting that push we need to be having, and especially against Purdue, we should have been pushing those guys all over the football field. It really starts there, and, Brian Kelly has already said in his Sunday teleconference that, him and High Stand were going to talk and get things, working in the right direction, which a bye week is going to be nice. Hopefully they can get this figured out because, if we're not consistently running the ball against Stanford and Florida State, it's going to be harder for Everett to, that level of competition is way higher, and the athletes he'll be facing, it's going to make it obviously more difficult for him as far as throwing the ball over the field. So he needs that consistent running attack. So it starts with the offensive line. But with your point with the rhythm, as far as running backs, I've been saying all year, and I think you have kind of agreed with me, is it's to me it's really hard to get into a rhythm when you're splitting carries as equally as we have. I mean, if you look at the season carries, okay, Everett Golson has the second most carries on our team, okay, with 29. Folson has 30. McDaniel has 25. Greg Bryant has 22. So our quarterback is our second leading carrier on the team. To me, that's, you can take that as you will. He's going to run, and we want him to run because that's his style of keeping plays alive and, being elusive, being explosive and whatnot. So I'm not really upset with that. It's just I have a hard time understanding people getting into a rhythm with, the equal 7, 8, 9 carries that people are getting consistently. And you look at guys like Greg Bryant. To me, he is hands down our best running back, and I know people are probably tired of me talking about him, but I mean, there is nothing that anybody can tell me or show me based on what we've seen this year that he is not our best running back, and he has the least amount of carries on our team. And he also has the highest yards per carry, so by over a yard. So to me, I just can't get past that. I don't understand why we can't just rotate him and Folston or him and Cam, like get these guys in 15 to 20 carries and let them get into a little bit of a rhythm. You can still get into somewhat of a rhythm behind a poor offensive line by, just by the feel of the game and what you kind of have seen prior, but that's going to be impossible only getting 8, 9 carries and only playing every third series because that's the way they're rotating them is, they have Folston for a series, Cam for a series, Bryant for a series, and that's just impossible to me for them to get in a rhythm. And I don't know if you have anything else more to say to that, but I
No,
mean, that's the only thing that I kind of can think of.
I think you kind of hit the nail on the head, and it's what the point I was trying to make is it's hard to be in a rhythm when you got two other guys. When you're going in every third series, like you said. Um, I understand that it gives the defense a different look, which is fine. I'm okay with that. Maybe that's something though. I I don't know. I don't know how you do it if you want to use three running backs. I guess my question for you is, going into the bye week, do you think maybe Brian looks at one or two of these guys and kind of says, all right, these are our guys. This is who we're going to go with, or do you see him keeping with this three running back system for a couple other weeks or the rest of the season?
I really hope he kind of can come down to two guys and give two guys. I don't really care who the combo is. Bryant needs to be one of them. I don't care who it is between Folsom and Cam. We've kind of went through that. I think Folsom should be the second back, and Cam is our third down consistent guy, like we've already discussed a million times. So I don't really care who the other two are in the rotation that they do it, but let's get those guys in a rhythm, and I think that's a big part of it. And I hope that they kind of can come to that conclusion. I really don't know what he's going to do because he's made a point about liking that he rotates three guys, but at some point, he's getting paid millions of dollars to do this, so he knows more than I do, and we do. So it's just, I would hope he can kind of come to that conclusion at some point. I would love to see it. I would love to at least give it a shot. I don't think at this point it can hurt us in any way because we're really not that consistent in our running game right now. The only thing that we're consistent of is that we're still running it 35 to 40 times a game. That's the only thing that we're consistent at. And it just doesn't make any sense to me to give our best running back, who averages over 1 yard per carry more than everybody else on the roster, the least amount of carries. That just doesn't make sense to me. What do you think? What do you think Brian's going to do?
I don't know. And like you said, he makes a lot more money than we do and knows a whole lot more than we do. So he, I think he's going to stay with three. I just don't see him changing it. Do I think he should change it? Yes, but it's easier for me to sit here on a podcast and say that than sit in his office and say it. So but like you said before, though, it starts with the offensive line. It doesn't matter if we have two guys running it, one guy, or an empty backfield. If we don't get a push off the offensive line, we're not going to run the ball anyways. And especially when we go against teams like Stanford, Florida State, who are a little bigger, a little faster, a little stronger, it could get ugly. We might be throwing the ball every down.
Yeah, and not that I would be mad at seeing that, but to me, that's just wasting the talent that we have at the running back position. I think we have in Folston and Bryant, I think we at least have a top three running back core in the country, and it's not showing right now. We have the talent to be that, but it's just not showing right now. I guess a question I kind of have for you is, do you think his kind of Brian Kelly's mindset is, hey, let's rotate these three guys. We can kind of keep everybody fresh and maybe more healthy deeper in the year? But the only thing I have to say to that is, then why are we running Everett almost double some of these guys every game? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the only question that I have with that. To me, the quarterback's more valuable, so go ahead on that.
I don't think that's the reason. I don't think that's the main reason. I'm sure it might play a little role in it, but I still don't. I don't think that would, because it just, I don't know how to put it, but that would be the least of my worries. If you got three running backs, you got depth, so you wouldn't need to necessarily conserve one guy or all three. Because I mean, even if and I don't want it to happen, let's say Folston goes down, I still have two other guys that can go in. So I don't think that's the thinking behind that, to answer your question.
Yeah, and I don't really know either. It's hard for me to kind of tell. He clearly has a reason that he's doing it, and It's a great time in the year with the limited amount of success that we've had running the ball to kind of take a look at all of our options. Maybe let's try something new. And that's what he's going to do. He's not an idiot. He didn't get offered NFL jobs or interviewed for NFL jobs for no reason. You know what I'm saying? He's a smart
Mhm.
guy. We're just sitting here beating a dead horse.
Pretty much,
So
yeah.
he's going to make a decision. He's going to come to any sort of conclusion that's, hey, we need to do something different. Whether it be, hey, let's have a different rotation on the offensive line, or hey, let's maybe run two guys, maybe get into a rhythm. So, whatever he comes to, I'm kind of curious to see how this goes. Maybe he'll hint towards that tomorrow in his press conference, or even the next Tuesday in his press conference before the Syracuse game. So, kind of looking forward to hearing what he has to say about that.
Sure. All right. Well, enough beating that dead horse, like you said, in the rushing game. Let's really move on to our receiving core. A lot of guys had catches, and we just go down the list here. Corey Robinson, which was great to see, had 3 receptions, 52 yards, 1 touchdown. Maybe that thumb is getting better. That should be good. CJ Procise, 4 receptions, 51 yards. Will Fuller, who is kind of stepped into the role as our number one target, I'd say. 6 receptions, 51 yards. Had that touchdown on the first drive. Greg Bryant had 2 receptions. Ben Koyak had 5 receptions. It was cool to see. Good to see him getting used as well for 32 yards. Folston had 2 catches as well. Chris Brown had 1 for 11, and Amir Carlisle had a reception for 2 yards. So a lot of guys getting catches. We're spreading the ball around. I guess first thing I want to go over is good to see Corey Robinson getting used a little more. Hopefully maybe that's a sign that thumb's getting better. Had the touchdown catch, so that was good to see, I thought. I don't know if you have anything on that.
Yeah, Robinson definitely looks a lot more comfortable. He was catching balls in traffic, catching balls getting hit. His catch in the end zone that he had for his touchdown was it was just a great catch. He went up and got it, took a little hit, looked fine. So he's definitely getting more comfortable, and that's a great sign to kind of see moving forward. Fuller, like you said, you called this guy from the beginning of the year, our most consistent target all year.
Mm-hmm.
Another touchdown. He's got 3 on the year. 6 catches, 51 yards. Obviously he has a couple drops here and there, but he also had some great catches in traffic while getting hit this week. He had that great catch on the sideline where he kind of juggled it and grabbed it last second, got that toe down. He's well aware of his surroundings while he's playing. He just has a couple times. I think Brian Kelly was talking about it one day in his presser that sometimes it's on the shorter routes where he kind of is looking to go upfield before he has the ball.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's kind of scary to think if it's that simple for that guy. If it's as simple as he's looking away before the ball gets there. So that's exciting to see. Fuller's a explosive player, great guy. You just never know when he's just going to break one. Procise, it was nice to see Procise come in and replace Carlisle and fill in for Carlisle when he had gotten hurt. Um, Procise is an explosive player. I like Carlisle, a little less shifty, I think, a little more of a possession guy. Um, but it was nice to see him kind of fill in. The whole Chris Brown injury, I believe they said MCL sprain at the worst. So
I'm not. I haven't checked or heard anything
yeah, I
exactly.
think they said he should be a go for Syracuse, but if not, for sure Stanford. So that's nice to see. It kind of sucks seeing him hurt because he finally had that breakout game last week,
Mm-hmm.
and he's starting to get into a rhythm, and it's that guy that's explosive, like finally, and then
Mm-hmm.
he gets hurt again. So what do you think about the tight end position? Do you think we're kind of it kind of to me, I feel like we kind of obviously we were going to take a step back, losing Nicholas. We're not going to have that tight end, that first round tight end this year.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think Koyak maybe needed one more year behind Nicholas, maybe get the second guy reps while Nick, kind of like last year with Nicholas, how they rotated last year. So Koyak one more year I think is good, but I keep hearing great things about the athleticism of the Durham Smith, who is a redshirt sophomore. I'm kind of curious. I don't know if they're gonna maybe pull the trigger and let him get some playing time, or they're gonna maybe. I'm not sure what's going on there, but I saw the freshman, the Latua guy. He's a big body. He's been getting some playing time. So, what do you think tight end wise? You kind of disappointed there, or is it just me?
I mean, I wouldn't say disappointed because you kind of had to expect it coming in. With just, I mean, you don't lose a guy like Troy Nicholas and not take a step back. We've been very lucky the past 3-4 years that we've had some guy to step in for that guy that got drafted. I don't think Ben Koyak's bad at all. I think he's getting better. He had 5 receptions this game. I think you said he had, what, 10 for the year?
Yeah, he's 10 on the year. He did have a fumble, though.
Okay, so, I mean, he did fumble, but not a huge worry to me. Um, I think with the more receptions, with the more games he plays, he's going to get more comfortable, more him and Everett on the same page. If he can get to that level where we can use him as a weapon, that's just nothing but that's great because that's just another outlet for Everett and another thing for the defense to worry about. But I don't think they'll pull the trigger on Smith, backup freshman, right? Correct?
So, well, yeah, redshirt freshman.
Yeah. So
Sophomore.
I think you give him another year to kind of get experience, kind of learning the offense. But I'm not disappointed with Ben Koyak at all. But that's just because my expectation wasn't for him to come in and just shine. So
Yeah, I agree. And we're spoiled with the tight ends that we've had. In the last 5, 10 years, the list of guys is actually really impressive. We're tight end you. The number
hmm
one tight end in the country wants to come play with us every year. So, we're spoiled in that aspect. I just thought maybe we'd see a little bit more out of Koyak because we saw some signs late last year. But, maybe it's kind of like Chris Brown. He's still not really getting involved, and I'm kind of, just kind of curious to see what's going on with that whole situation.
yeah. And I mean, you got a lot of weapons, a lot of different weapons, so it's hard to get every guy involved to what we want to see.
Yeah,
So that,
like you said, we have a million people to get the ball,
I
so
know.
it's hard to that's a great point. But I think what we kind of are overlooking here is we're kind of upset. I don't want to say upset, but we're kind of looking past that. Hey, this is the first time in the Brian Kelly era that we've had 3 straight games with over 30 points. We're moving the ball well. We're putting our guys in great positions. We're attacking. We're getting I wouldn't say worked up, but we're getting, a little antsy, kind of maybe a little impatient. But we have to kind of put things in perspective like that. Like, hey, 3 straight games over 30 points against people that we should be doing that against, and it's a good sign to see.
hmm Um, so let's keep the train rolling here, and let's move on to the other side of the ball. The defense. First half, in my eyes, I was a little worried. I thought maybe, trap game, hangover from Michigan. Defense doesn't look all that great, but after the half, we came out, shut them out, scored. I think it was 30 unanswered points. Was that? Or it was something around there. I'm not sure the
It
exact
was
number.
20 for
20,
sure.
20. Okay. So, I mean, defense came out, probably got a butt chewing in the locker room, is my guess, and came out and responded. So, we had 2 interceptions. Joe Schmidt and Devin Butler each had one. Held Purdue to 234 passing and 56 rushing yards as a team. I believe some of that was because the quarterback had about negative 14 rushing yards. But so I mean, in all, not bad. If I had to give a grade, I'd give about a B plus. But if you're going off the first half, I was awful worried.
Yeah, I was worried, a little bit worried. Came out slow, a little hungover to me. We had a lot of Kool-Aid last week with the Michigan game. Maybe a little too much sugar and vodka for these guys.
Yeah.
Came out a little slow this week. So yeah, they got a chew and a half. That's for sure. Mr. Mustache Goatee definitely wasn't happy. But yeah, like you said, they responded well in the second half, shut them out. I believe their second half drives. I was just looking. I think it was punt, interception, punt,
I can look it up.
interception, sack. I believe. I'm not sure. It's something along those
Uh,
lines.
yeah.
Um, we can look at second half drives here real quick. Um, yeah, here we go. Second half, quarter three. It went punt, punt, turnover on downs, punt, interception, interception, and a sack to end the game. So, they came out well, like you said, responded well. It was good to see. To me, I didn't rewatch the game this week because I saw Tom Hammond was in the booth, which that huge. Go ahead.
It was like the first half, and they were talking about Van Gorder, and they put the camera up to the press box, and it was this guy in just a full beard, and they said, "Oh, there's Van Gorder in his beard." And I thought, that's not Van Gorder, and it was Tom Hammond. I don't think it was Van Gorder, unless I looked at it wrong. But
Tom Hammond called Everett Golson like 5 names. The dude is he's like John Madden up there. Just a complete idiot.
And he's scary looking, man. Oh, God.
That is a huge man in way too much makeup.
A lot of makeup, that is for sure. But
I can't believe that dude has a job.
He's got the voice.
Yeah, somehow.
He's got the voice.
But yeah, so I didn't really rewatch the game like I normally would have, but I noticed definitely live when I was there, they saw something in our defense that they thought they could get the ball to the flat. They definitely made that a point. They were pushing the ball to the flat, little dump passes in the flat, maybe doing a little more stretch runs, trying to get outside. You could definitely notice that they were emphasizing that, and they saw something there. And early, it was hurting us. We weren't really responding well to that, and we did, thankfully, as it went on. Like you said, a little scary in the first half. It was 17-14. We were down at half, or we ended up coming back and scoring it before half. I'm sorry, and a little nerve-wracking there because they kind of, I don't want to say exposed because we lost so many players in the back end of our defense, but they showed some weak spots. They showed that maybe that flat is somewhere that we need to work on. But other than that, we're getting mad over a 16-point win. That's good.
That's a great problem to have.
Absolutely.
And that, I guess, that's a question I have for you. Just brief discussion here, because we're going to go over this more in depth on Thursday. But going into the bye week, what do you kind of want to see worked on, improved, changed?
Like we kind of had hit a little bit. I want to see the offensive line a little bit more improved. I want to see that a point being made, which obviously has been said that it will be already. I would love. I don't know if this is anything that, obviously this isn't anything that any coaches can do, but I want to see some of our guys get healthy going into this bye week. Let's get healthy. Let's get recouped. We got a brutal schedule coming up. So just a couple things as far as that goes. Let's get everybody back, and let's get on a little bit of a roll here.
Sure. Yeah, I wrote down a couple things during the game that I kind of prepared for this, just brief. I said, line, and who's that guy? And what I meant by who's that guy, who's that running back? Who's our running back? Who is that guy? Who are we going to go to? That kind of back to our previous discussion on running back, so I'm not going to get too into that. But that's what I want to see worked on. Maybe tighten up a little defense just a tad more, maybe the secondary, and hopefully maybe get some guys back we could see, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you think about, we still only gave up 17 points, so we didn't allow 20 points. We haven't allowed more than 20 points all year to any 3 of our opponents. If you think we have shut out the team's 4 or 6 of the last 8 quarters, a team hasn't scored against us. So when you kind of look at things like that, defensively we're fine. Little rough, like everybody saw and can agree. A little maybe hungover, a little trapped in the first half, but we recouped and made things work.
Absolutely. So we will go into that more on Thursday because we don't really have much to talk about Thursday, so we're going to talk a lot about that and some other things. So we want to go over Pick'em, what we had for stats last week. I know you tweeted it out, but you still got me. Or I beat you this week, I'm sorry. Our guest Kevin joined us last week. Thanks to Kevin. I know you enjoyed talking with Kevin on Thursday about Purdue. Our first game was SC Georgia. Kevin and Bray. Sorry you guys missed it. I got it right. You guys took Georgia. I took South Carolina. You can't
That's a
go wrong
ballsy
with the
pick
old
to
ball
me.
coach. You
There's no
can't go
way.
wrong with.
I, even today, I don't even think. Obviously, that'd be stupid if I didn't, but I would not. To me, that's just a no-brainer. Georgia, I can't believe they ended up losing that game.
Can't go wrong with the old ball coach. He's my man. Then we went UCLA, Texas. We all went UCLA across the board. All got that right. Texas was. I was listening a little bit on the radio on my way home the other day from Warsaw, and I think it was I can't remember who was on ESPN radio was saying, "Look, Texas, you're just not the program you think you are. You are a program that is rebuilding." It's rough out there right now. So
Yeah, but I mean, come on. They played
UCLA.
UCLA. They played UCLA extremely tough. It was a neutral site game. I don't really care who would gets that advantage. To me, they played UCLA tough. Obviously, it's going to take Strong a little bit of time to get things going there and get the kind of system that he wants, get the kind of mindset through his players, and the kind of players that he wants in. He's trying to, emphasize toughness. Let's get back to Texas football, tough, blah blah blah. This brand is
Mm,
massive. I mean, people are saying what they need to say about Texas, which is fair criticism, and it's going to take time. But I mean, you can't sit here and say that those kids aren't playing hard. Those kids played extremely hard against UCLA, and for anybody to kind of come out and say Texas, you're not who you think you are, it's like their
well,
tradition.
he was saying it to the fans because the fans are a little, why are we losing? Why are we not winning every game? Why are we not in the national championship race? And he was saying more, look, you're a program that's rebuilding right now. Yeah, they're still going to go out and play hard, but they're not the program they once were. I guess
But
that's what he was trying to say.
they have great players and great talent. It's not like they don't have 4 and 5 star recruits. They just have been poorly developed in the last 2, 3 years, and that kills your program. You can't have guys not develop for 2, 3 years. Look at Michigan. That's another great example. They aren't developing their players. They have great talent. They have some of the best recruits. They've had top 15 recruits every year at Hoke has been there. He's not developing his players, and it clearly shows. You cannot have 2 to 3 years of players that aren't being developed properly or as well as other people because you just get stomped over. It's just very noticeable.
Mm-hmm. So that's our second game. Our third game was Oklahoma and Tennessee. We all picked Oklahoma across the board. Then it was Virginia, Louisville. Kevin came out with this one, a little upset here. He picked Virginia. You and I took Louisville. That's a future Notre Dame opponent who slipped up. Then ND Purdue was obviously our last pick, and we all took ND. So the final standings were Bray. You went 3-2, so you were the low man on the totem pole this week. Kevin went 4-1, and I went 4-1. So that brings your total, Bray, to 7-3. I'm 6-4, and our guests are 7-3, Bill Beck and Kevin. So right now, you and the guests are tied for first, and I'm a game out.
All right, so
So
let me just make this clear. You were kind of skipping there a little bit. So I'm
okay.
7-3. Our guests between Bill Beck and Kevin, their combined record is also 7-3. And then you are in
Yes.
third at 6-4.
6-4. Yep.
Just making that clear for everybody.
So
Augie has really good internet, in case you haven't noticed so far.
I live in a brand new apartment complex in Muncie, Indiana, and the Wi-Fi is a apartment complex wide Wi-Fi, and it doesn't add about the time we do these shows. Everyone's trying to do homework, and the Wi-Fi doesn't cooperate all the time. So that is my problem.
Yeah, and it's not a big deal. We're just giving you a hard time. Maybe you
I've
should
already
contact
complained.
your office or something and hey, get on them.
You you have no idea how many times we've called this place. We wake up to construction at 7:30 in the morning. The place isn't even done yet. They're putting a Brothers Bar and Grill under my feet. There will be a Brothers under me, so we wake up to construction every morning. It's interesting.
That'll be interesting for when you
That's
turn 21.
yeah. June 23rd. If you want to come down, it'll be a fun time. Um,
Won't we be out of
Trying
school?
to think if we got anything. Yeah, we'll be done.
Oh, well then you'll be home.
Uh, yeah, we'll see. All right, so let's see. I don't really have anything else left on our agenda. Any closing thoughts on the Purdue game?
Like we kind of said, great experience. Great weekend. I had a blast. It was great meeting a lot of you guys. If you guys are tuning in, met Kevin in person, met Notre Josh in person, got to meet Stan in person. Um, the Harlows, got to meet them, and obviously they have some significant others that I'm not mentioning. Emily, we met Emily in person. I wish I could have hung out a little bit more, but I was down there with the parents, and they paid for 85% of my trip, so there was no way I was ditching them. I wanted them to have a good time, and I wanted to have a good time with them. So, maybe next time we can hang out a little bit more. I had a great time. It was a lot of booze and fun, and uh, a little disappointed in the fans, kind of their experience and what they brought to the game, but that is what it is. It's Purdue. It's really hard. I don't know how teams like Ohio State and Michigan, who bring Appalachian State and Kent State and Miami, Ohio, etc. No disrespect to Chuck Martin and Andrew Hendricks, but I don't understand how they can bring those kind of games to their stadium and expect to sell 120,000 seats or 110,000 seats or whatnot and expect their fans to be into it. It's just hard because, like we said, Purdue's coming off a 1-11 season. There are, one of our bigger games every year and most hyped games is our Shamrock Series. And when you play against Arizona State Jerry's world, there's a lot more hype to that than um, Indianapolis with Purdue. If we would have brought in Georgia or we would have brought in some sort of, little higher profile, we could have played Stanford for our Shamrock Series. Whoever, it could have been anybody else, and it would have definitely made the game and the hype a lot better. That's obvious and clear to everybody. But I mean, come on, it was a great time. You got to drink beer in the stadium. Um, it was a great stadium to be in and a great place for the game to be held. Indy was awesome. Like I said, everything's so centralized and it's no more than a 15-minute walk wherever you need to be. Um, yeah, it was a great time. You have any closing things to say? Any things you kind of want to see tomorrow, maybe in Brian Kelly's press conference?
I'm interested to see what he says about the running back and offensive line situation, and interested to see what he has to say about what they're going to work on coming in the bye week. So I'm going to be tuning into that tomorrow, and we'll talk about it on Thursday. Overall, it's a win. A win's a win. So, and we came out in the second half and did what we needed to do, and so overall, I'm happy with what went on. First half was a little shaky, but other than that, I'm glad we could get a win. So,
And let's remember, if we won by 16 points, and we're sitting here kind of disappointed, I would say, because we didn't play well. We still ended up winning by 16 points. We shut them out in the second half. That's good to see. And when you kind of can sit here and look back at it, I know live when I was watching it, and I'm sure live when a lot of people were watching, it's kind of like we are not as good as we think we are, which that still may be the case. We need to have some realistic expectations still, and we need to keep proving ourselves, no doubt. But let's not jump to any conclusions, either side, whether it be, hey, we're going 12-0, or hey, we're going 3-9 the rest of the way, based on this performance. It's not a measuring stick really in any way. A little bit of a hangover game. Let's hit this bye week. Let's get healthy. Let's hopefully get our 5 players back. It'd be a great time for that. Let them get back and in the rhythm of things. They'd have an extra week for that. That's kind of what I'm looking forward to. I'm excited to maybe hear something about that tomorrow in BK's Tuesday press conference. But yeah, we have a lot more stuff we kind of want to dive into a little bit more on Thursday, a little bit more detailed, maybe to give you a preview. We want to kind of get our opinions on where we think we're at this point. Maybe some more expectations as to where we could be by the end of the year based on what we've seen. We aren't 100% sure yet, but we're thinking about bringing someone in maybe to help, get another opinion. Let's bounce some questions off somebody else. Let's keep things going. It'll probably be a little bit shorter on Thursday just because, hey, we don't have a game to preview, but we still want to give you guys some content. And kind of like I had kind of said earlier on Twitter today, if you had seen it, Augie and I are absolutely like amazed and excited in the amount of support that we've gotten so far. Um, like I said, I thought maybe we would have a shorter kind of start to this, a little slower, get up and go. We have a lot more views than I thought we would on our YouTube channel. We have over 105 views on our podcast on Podbean, which it's only been up for 5 days. I'm absolutely amazed by the support that we've gotten. If anybody has anything they want to say, any questions Thursday, that would be a great idea. Hey, if you have a question, hit us up on Twitter. We can try and give you the best kind of answer that we can. But going back to the support, we can't thank you guys enough. It's really kind of, and it helps us, makes it easier for us to get up here and do this. Like we said, we love to do it. That's why we're doing it. We're not doing it to get paid. But, that just makes it even more, we get even more excited to do it every time we do it because we want people to like what we're doing, and we want people to be interactive, and we want people to be involved in what we're doing, and we're excited. And Augie, I don't know if you have anything to say to that, but
I thank you as well. I've been heard nothing but good words, and we have a lot of friends from high school, from Ferris, from Ball State that have tuned in and watched and kind of said, hey, you guys are pretty good, and a lot of family. And I know all the ND blog family, they're all rooting for us and helping us out too. Thank for everybody that kind of showed us Google Hangout. I know the guys at Down the Tunnel helped you out. All our guests that have come on. So really looking forward to keeping this rolling and keeping this going and see where we can go with it. So I do want to give a shout out real fast though. My sister got accepted to Indiana University today, so she's pretty excited, and she's going to be a Hoosier. So
nice, that's awesome.
Might have to steal her basketball ticket one day.
Oh, absolutely. You
Never been to a game in Assembly Hall, so that'd be
me
pretty
either.
cool
That would be something I really want to do.
So congratulations to her, and now I know she won't be coming to Ball State, which is even better. So.
You want a little sister down there keeping tabs at you. But yeah, congratulations to Maggie. That's huge. That's really good to hear. And also one more thank you to Kevin for filling in last week, last second.
Yep.
That was awesome. Quick fill in. Great content. If you haven't seen that, I know it's going to be late because we previewed Purdue, but there was some great content in there, mainly on the 5-player suspensions or holdouts. There's actually probably a 10-minute segment on that if you maybe want to hear an opinion on that, between Kevin and I, there's some great content in that section. So thank you to Kevin again. DownTheTunnel.com, make sure you give them a look if you haven't yet.
Absolutely. So, all right, well, let's close this out here. I do want to say check us out on podbean.com now. You can get the audio version of this and listen to can I talk? Listen to it on the way to class, on the way to work, at work, while you're driving. Check out our YouTube channel if you want to see these beautiful faces every Monday and Thursday night. Follow us on Twitter. And as of today, we now have a Facebook page, so go hit the like button. All our podcasts through Podbean will be shared onto there, so you can easily get to it. So with that being said, looking forward to next Thursday and talking some bye-week stuff and tuning into BK's press conference tomorrow. So
yeah, and
that's all I got. Go ahead.
Kind of hit Augie right there. Our Podbean is actually it's Straight from the Dome, our podcast name. So Straight from the Dome 1842.podbean.com. That's where you can find us directly on Podbean. If not, you can search on there or just check our Twitter at From the Dome 1842. We will have links posted there as well as on our personal accounts. we're gonna market maybe our Facebook page a little bit more. Augie's kind of in charge of that. And our YouTube channel, just hit up our link that we're gonna post right after this. Yeah, thank you guys. Appreciate it. Can't thank you guys enough for everything.
All right. Well, with that being said, all I gotta say is go Irish and see you Thursday.
Go Irish.